Okay, this is Clint again, and today I've got a really interesting problem that came to us through Discourse. We have a user who's trying to access devices securely through a zero trust network using OpenZiti, and they have basically these target machines, IoT device 1, 2, and 3, in remote sites, and they want to be security conscious, and they want to use a zero trust overlay network like OpenZiti. So we're trying to figure out a way for this individual to be able to accomplish basically what you see in this diagram. So we'll have two different sites. In my example, we're going to call this top site here the blue site, and on the bottom we'll call this the red site. The reason why I'm going to use blue and red is because I basically already have that entire situation set up for us in the Docker world. So if I were to bring up my Docker Compose file, you'll see I have enhanced it, my local version, where I've added emulated devices. So I have a blue IoT1, blue IoT2, blue IoT3. I am simply using 3 different HTTP based Docker services just because it's easier for me to demonstrate. One thing I want to pay attention to is I have swapped the red IoT1 and IoT2. You can see I just swapped them around. IoT3 is the same on at both machines, effectively emulating the two first machines, IoT1 and IoT2, having 2 different IP addresses on the remote machine. All right, so all that setup having said, I've also gone and created a ton of zdcli commands, which you're going to see me blow through fast as fast can be, but I'll put these all in the video. So you can just go into the description and look at the video's description, and you'll see what I'm doing. All right. This is going to be busy, so if you're never done this before, never seen a demo like this before, it might take you a couple views to catch what I'm doing here because I'm going to go quite quickly. In the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to turn on Docker Compose. That's going to fire up all those machines we talked about, blue IoT1, blue IoT2, etc. Now in this lower left-hand corner, I'm going to use this in order to perform my zdcli commands, just because it'll be easier. Maybe that'll be obvious in a second. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the controller to come online because I'm going to need to run zdcli commands. And so this will go out and it will make a whole entire PKI for me. You can see it's taken a long time because I haven't run this recently. And so it's going to go and make that whole PKI. Also, I'm recording, so my machine's a little sluggish. So now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to execute into that container so I can get at the zitiLogin function. Once I've logged in, I'm then going to copy and paste all these commands, a boatload of them, all at once. And well, the first one that is interesting is I'm going to create an identity for myself. And then in a different window down here, I'm going to copy that identity out so that I can use that in my Ziti Desktop Edge for Windows, basically emulating the situation which we're talking about. And you'll see I have no services for that identity. Now I'm going to do a whole bunch of commands. Like I said, you can read these commands later if you're so interested. A couple of those right there, we're enrolling a couple of endpoints because I'm going to basically be putting an endpoint into each of these remote machines. So where this TeamViewer VPN thing shows up, I'm going to replace that with a Ziti Edge tunnel running in Linux in this case, but it doesn't have to be running in Linux. And I'm going to do that in these 2 windows here. So now that all my things have been created, if I go back to this, you'll see I now have 2 services, the blue site and the red site. Ports 80 and 8000 are exposed through Ziti and no other ports whatsoever. So now let's attach to the blue network over here. And let's attach to the red network down here. And now let's just do some basic setup. I'm going to go and install unzip, which is not in our base image. I'm going to wget the latest version of the Ziti Edge tunnel. I'm going to unzip the Ziti Edge tunnel. All these Docker containers share a mounted volume. So once I unzip that, you'll see there is a red. Oh, you'll see the redsite.json. You'll also see Ziti Edge tunnel in here somewhere. Ziti Edge tunnel. Ziti Edge tunnel. And that was because these two share the same file system. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this on screen. So I made a quick little bash script. Very simple, very easy. All it does is it actually pings the machines in question. So since this is Docker and Docker Compose, these machines will be pingable. So I'm going to, for example, if I ping web test blue IoT1, you'll see it comes back with an IP address of 172.29.0.5. All right, fantastic. So now what I'm going to do is just use a quick bash for loop for f in 1 to 3. I'm going to ping that IP address, snip out the IP address, and then I'm just going to cat it onto the etc hosts file. And that's really important because that's kind of where the magic will come in, and you'll see the magic here in a moment. So I'm going to do that. You'll see blue site. So now if I cat etc host, you'll see IoT 1, 2, and 3 different IP addresses. I didn't know them ahead of time, but if I do a curl to http:// IoT1.blue site on port 8000, you'll see I'll get the Docker whale. And if I go to port 80, you'll see connection refused because that's IoT1. Let's go to IoT2. IoT2 will give you a hello from whatever the machine name is. These are important because we'll see those in this top window above, which is my local computer, not the Docker world. You can see C:, I'm running in Windows up here. These are all inside of Docker. So now that I've done that for the blue network, let's go back and do the same thing for the red network. Let me get this out of the way now. Do the same thing down here. Cat etc hosts. See the same thing, but now if I curl to http://IoT1.red site port 80. Port 80 is also it's IoT1 in the red site, and it was IoT2 in the blue site. That's important because if those things are not the same, then this might cause troubles for the person who's trying to get this to work. Now I'm going to turn on the blue site and the red site's tunnelers. Again, those two things are emulating these two TeamViewer VPN blocks that you see there, and they're providing the zero trust access across the internet into that site. So now that everything has been done, I should be able to come up here. Actually, let me show you my Ziti Desktop Edge for Windows. I should be able to go to star.bluesite using a feature of OpenZiti called Wildcard DNS. So let's do a curl http:// IoT1.bluesite:8000, and you'll see that is the Docker whale because that is what is on 8000 in the blue site. If I curl to port 80 on IoT1, you'll see I have no access. If I curl to port 80 on IoT2, you'll see hello world. And if you recall, that is the same value that was returned from IoT2 inside the Docker container. And of course, I could curl to IoT3 as well. So what's really cool here is I've made a single service, one service using wildcard intercepts. And you can see I have, this is what the service looks like. Again, you can go back and look at this when you want, but I'll fit it all in one screen here and make it a little bit bigger. So you see I'm making a host intercept config, which will say forward the protocol, allowed protocols are TCP UDP, forward the address of true, allowed addresses are anything that's star blue site, and then these are the port ranges which I wish to allow. Now that's all the blue stuff. Let me do the red stuff just so that we can see that that actually works. If we go to red site, it should look identical. Excellent, red site, blue site. Now if I go to red site again on port 80, what should happen? Right, I should not be able to get there because it's port 8000 on the red site. And to finish it off, if I go to IoT1, you can see hello world, and it's a different hello world. It's the one IoT2 on the blue site, just to make sure. You see those are different values. And that's a pretty cool demo. Well, I think it's pretty cool. Hopefully you think it's pretty cool too. And all done in one take. I will make these commands available in the description. And hopefully this helps out those people over on Discourse.